All right, what's up? So this is going to be the last video in the series, and this is going to be primarily focused on last layer and how to, oh my God, how to get your algs down to like 2 seconds, which is like pretty difficult, especially when you're a slow turner like I am. So main thing, obviously, drill your algs. Do them over and over and over again until you get good. And like, there's moments where, like, everybody says this, right? Everybody says, you know, drill your algs over and over. And like this JA perm, for example, I used to always miss this thumb push, and now I don't, because I drilled the absolute shit out of that alg. You know what I mean? And the same thing with like, I have this end perm I do, and I still mess it up because I don't drill it enough. A tip that I have for you is like there, you saw me do that wrong push. If you see that you're doing that wrong push, do the alg slow until you can get that problem worked out, and then just try to be as fluid as possible without getting any lockups. And if you'll find, at least in my case, if you can turn fluidly without any lockups, that's going to be faster than you just spamming TPS and actually getting a lockup. Does that make sense? And the more you turn fast, like a quick tip, if you haven't seen it, is Brian Sons and Jay McNeil's video on how to turn properly, which is using this part of your finger right here to turn like a flick rather than like a push like that, you know what I mean? And when you flick, you can turn a lot quicker. And that's how I make my V perm so quick, because I'm flicking the shit out of this down here. Does that make sense? And the same thing with like when you're doing this, you're pushing real hard as opposed to like dragging the piece or dragging the layer. Does that make sense? So that's something you could work on. I would try to work on keeping your hands in home grip. And so like my T perm is like that, but sometimes for my JA perm, I need to regrip just so I don't mess the alg up. You know what I mean? And find out, this works for F2L, OLL, and PLL. Find out when it's okay to regrip. Like for some algs, I'm trying to think of one that I actually regrip for, but there's some that you do like soft regrips, like for this alg, like that's how I do it. For this one, right? I don't do that. I actually do that, which isn't good. I should just do this, right? But I actually regrip and just roll. And that's not a good thing. I should switch to this actually. But that's something that you can practice and work on and do more fluidly. My next tip, this is gonna be about algs. Don't be afraid to learn algs, because in my opinion, algs just make solving a lot more fun because you have a lot more options. And your solves are like a lot, like, it's not like they're quicker or anything because like you solve at your own speed, but having to cut out steps finding ways to cut out steps in cubing is like one of my favorite things ever. So like having to turn 2-look OLO into 1-look OLO is like the coolest thing ever. So like with this case, for example, like you would do, let me see if I can do it right. You would do that, and then you would do that, right? But you can just do the OLO and like here. See what I mean? And doing that just makes it so much more fun and more fluid because you don't have to solve 2 OLLs. And like, you can get really fast with 2-look because when you do 2-look, you only have 7 OLLs to actually solve. Like this is one, then you have like these 2. Oh, wait. Then you have this one, and then you have like 2 other ones. You know, and yeah, because then after this, you have the soons. And that, but like that, so like you can get fast, but like, I think it's a lot more fun to like learn more algs and optimize algs and just learn more. The alg sets that I think are worth it for people who are like sub 20, sub 15. I learned full OLO at sub 25. The problem with that is I had to relearn it at sub 15 because like for this fat soon, right? So I was like doing that, where in reality I should just be doing that. Does that make sense? And or like for forever I couldn't do this alg. I couldn't figure out how to do this alg right, where in reality it's just, and you have to get really good with the flinger flicks. You know what I mean? And that's all OLO is. And especially because like OLO is like, trying to think, like that's a really good one, but that's just, you pull this out, you do a sledge, and then you put it back in. See what I mean? And then, or like, and then for COLO, which I think is another worthy Algs set with, if you're like sub-15, but even like sub-20, you might as well. Because learning COLO, a lot of people say it's not worth it. And like, oh, the SOONs, anti-SOONs. But they also say like only the pies and the ages are worth it. But I use COLO in like every one of my solves. But, and like the worst ALG for it is this one because it's so long. But like a lot of them are super good and super easy. Like there's that one, like this is it backwards. I'm trying to think, what are the other bad ones? But like there's that one. I actually don't know that one because I actually learned CFCE recently, so I know a lot of CLLs that mess up EO. So I can't do like for instance, like for this, right? So this COLO is for pi is when you have a bar here and this is checkered. So you would do this. But for CFCE, you would actually just do the CLL algorithm, which is that. And that gives you permuted corners, but it messes up EO. But then you would just do the ALG to solve the rest. Does that make sense? But these are all fun ALG sets that you can learn because like a lot of people get to like sub 20, sub 15, and they're like, I want to learn ZB, but like they don't know that like winter variation is a thing. They don't know that you have to learn COLO and get really good at it before you do ZB. They don't know that like 2GLO is a thing. You know, things like that, but people just want to jump into these big ALG sets. Like people don't know that, like nobody knows what CFCE is or any of the ZZ variants that are like tons and tons of ALGs, but like super, super fun. Like ZZ-CT is like crazy. Just don't be afraid of ALGs because like OLO is like the big one people have to get over, but a lot of the other ALG sets are like winter variations, like 30 ALGs, COL is like 40 ALGs, CFCE is like 40 ALGs. But like the more ALGs you know, like the more fun you have. And like for example with the CFCE ALGs, I know that like if I'm not doing CFCE at the time, I know whenever I get a case where it's this OLO, but I get a CLL skip, now I can just do that and now I get a skip. Or like even on oh, did I do this right? What am I doing? Oh my God, did I just mess this up? Okay, even like for this though. So like if I get this case, right, where I get this OLO just like after F2L and all the corners are permuted, I can look at this and I can solve this and basically get a PLL skip, if that makes sense. And like the more ALGs you learn, the more you can do with your solves, and it's a lot more interesting. And like my whole thing, right, is like if you learn all of COL or like all of winter variation, you can get really, really good at FMC, which I think is pretty cool. And that's why I choose to learn all the ALGs, because like eventually one day I want to get pretty good at CFC. So but yeah, that's like the main tips for last layer is like really just learn the ALGs, learn the finger tricks. You could time your finger tricks. Like I timed mine, a lot of mine are around like 1.5, and like my slowest is like 2.2, which is like I think my E-perm, which if you like my E-perm is a lot faster because now I'm doing that flick thing. And like if you can just get it down, you can actually do things pretty fast that you couldn't do before. But yeah, that's kind of my last layer tips, because that's kind of another thing that you kind of just have to practice a lot and just get used to them and just drill them over and over and over again. And you kind of figure out like the flow, like to how everything works, and everything just kind of falls into place, except for when I mess up a T-perm. But yeah, that's about it for last layer. I hope you got something out of this, because I realized it was just a lot of me rambling about like, learn all of winter variation, learn all of CLL, don't learn all these ALGs, you know what I mean? But no, just have a lot of fun when it comes to your last layer, and figure out like, since this is the last video, I'll say like, figure out like what your weaknesses are, and then fix those. Like if you're bad at cross, like do the blind cross stuff. If you're bad at last layer, just drill your ALGs, or like learn more ALGs, like figure out what you're doing bad. Like if you're messing up, like you saw me mess up this T-perm, like this or whatever, like figure out what's wrong with your T-perm so you can just not do that anymore. You know what I mean? Trying to think. I'm going to leave some resources to where all the ALGs that I learned, because I learned literally all my ALGs from Brian's son and like even my F2L stuff. But yeah, I think that's it. Have a nice rest of your day. Bye.